Welcome back to wait, let me make sure it's turned up. Hey y'all, welcome back to another review of Life with Chesty for the bottom beautiful July 15th, 2025. First things first, let me know y'all thoughts on today's new episode down below. What did y'all think? What do y'all think about Grace and this experimental procedure? I said one thing about it, I think it's clear that she's hiding something. That's one thing we know for sure. We know Bill's supposed to give her the $1 million or whatever because they showed it on the promo. But I was like, yeah, it's clear that she's definitely hiding something. I'm agreeing with people who say that they don't think that Liam's really sick, or if he is, it's because she did something. Because she been watching him like a hawk. Even on today's episode during Bill and Liam's conversation, she was watching and watching. Then she was like, I couldn't help but overhear. Yeah, we bet. Talking about so she can't help but overhear, his conversation when he was talking to Bill. When Bill was talking to Liam about, doing anything for his son. I said, I bet you can't look at you. Look at you. You just watching the entire time looking for something. She wanted him to say that because she wanted to talk to him. I was like, but the thing is, did they put her up to whatever she done did? Or did she do it by herself? Is she in trouble? Does she need the money for that or what? Now, they do supposed to show them actually finna work on Liam, so I don't know. Hold on. They did already show the people supposed to be working on Liam, but I don't know what that means. I just know that she's hiding something. But yeah, on today's episode, so we're going to start with Bill and Liam. What is it? Oh, okay. I got a notification. Sorry, y'all. Bill and Liam. So they don't time jumped on us, y'all. It's been a few days. Last we seen yesterday, Liam had woke up. He started to wake up or whatever. But on today's episode, they did not pick up where they left off. They somebody's been a couple of days. Bill hasn't left. He was sitting up there, and Liam was just joking, saying, "Get him some scrubs because he's stinking because he been there and he ain't changed his clothes or whatever." Just laughing and stuff like that. And Bill just came over there talking to him or whatever, and he said he had to fight the whole family to get in there to see him. He not leaving. Liam ends up telling Bill that it's over. Luna's gone. She can't hurt nobody no more or whatever. What else did he say to him? It was something else he said. Hold on. But Bill ends up asking why Liam didn't tell him about his brain mass, his cancer or whatever. And he was like, it wasn't nothing like that. I said, see, they had a right to be upset, but at the same time, I said, see, I knew he was gonna want him there. I knew he was gonna want him there. But yeah, and he was trying to explain to him that he just didn't want him to deal with any of that. He didn't want to punish him. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about punishing him or nothing like that. But they started talking, and Leon was saying after, being shot and everything, he realized that he's not ready to go. I was like, but I thought, like, he kept talking about, if he gonna leave and stuff like that. But aside from that, he was kind of fighting. Aside from, remember how she told him the first time, Grace, Dr. Buckingham told him the first time, she was saying how there's this procedure that they could do, but it's not gonna save him. It's just gonna give him more time. And I was like, is it the same procedure or something different? I was like, she need to stick to one lie now. I said, stick to one lie, good. But yeah, hold on. I said, she don't know what she want to say herself. She just watching Liam. He's my patient. I said, I bet so. I bet so. She said something about that's her colleague, but she never said a name. She never said a name. She said that's her colleague's experimental, whatever it's called, experimental procedure or whatever. I said, no, that's the first red flag. Then it's the fact that she said the hospital, they would not sign off on the second red flag. Then she was like, they can't know nothing about it. I said, third red flag. I was like, don't do it. It's a trap. But hold on. Like I said, Leon tells Bill that he wasn't trying to punish him. He was saying how after being shot, he realized that he really wants to fight or whatever. He doesn't want to give up. He want to fight for his girls and see them. So, I think that's when Grace pulled Bill to the side and said she wanted to talk to him. So I couldn't help. They always be like, I couldn't help but over here. And you said you would do anything for Liam and all this other stuff. So, there's this, my colleague has this experimental treatment. I was like, girl, I said, I don't know about that. Hold on. I said, how we know? I said, look, they gonna do the procedure just to find out, oh, he didn't really have nothing up there in the first place. They just cutting people's brain open or whatever they doing. Cutting people's head open or something for no reason. But yeah, so Bill ends up asking Grace if there's any hope for Liam. So she was like, what if I told you there was? I was like, this sounds like the fourth or fifth. I forgot how many red flags it's been now. This is like the fourth or fifth one. This is what they say when they trying to scam you on those, what's it called? Infomercials or commercials or something like that. What if I told you scam? Hold on, wait. Let me see. What else? she started telling him about the experimental treatment that the hospital can't know nothing about it. She over here whispering and stuff. So many red flags in this episode, y'all. They can't know about it or whatever. That's why they said that Bill's supposed to sneak Liam out the hospital. Cause Liam mentioned on today's episode, he was saying how is this gonna work when he's still healing from the wound, the weapon wound or whatever. And that's why they was like, you gotta act fast, and it's risky and all this other stuff. There's so many red flags. I told y'all, so many red flags. But yeah, so she was like, we had to convince Liam to do it. That's when they went in and they was telling him about it and stuff like that. Wait, I skipped the part. I said it at the beginning though. Bill offered a blank check, talking about money's no option, and you know what type of money I have or whatever. I give you a blank check. I said, fool, don't do it, don't do it. But they already showed her look like or whatever for $1,000,000. But yeah, he offers a blank check. He was like, he'll do what say his son to save him, and that's when they went in there telling him about the procedure. And he was like, you telling me there's a chance? You know what? Excuse me. You telling me there's a chance or whatever? So he ends up agreeing to do it. And I said, I wonder how this is gonna play out. I want to know if it's the other. What was his name? The other Dr. Buckingham, the one that didn't he go to jail? Was he out of jail? Do y'all think he involved somebody else? They showed that dude that used to play on, I want to say, All My Children. They had posted that on Facebook. Now I don't know how true it is, but yeah, whatever doctor that was. Y'all remember who I'm talking about? I don't know if his name was Dr. Hayward or something like that on All My Children, something. But he was on The Bold and Beautiful before. They might just been giving their theory, but yeah, that's what they said, y'all. Who we got next? We got Ridge, Eric, and Brooke. So Eric want to play matchmaker again on today's episode. He was telling Brooke or inviting her out to Italy with them, saying they had a business trip and they would love for her to come or whatever, and just trying to convince her to come. And Ridge just sitting over there or whatever. He not saying much of anything, but I think she did agree to go, didn't she? Yeah, she did agree to go. And after she left, that's when Ridge was saying this a business trip or whatever. He was like, but you and Brooke, y'all can go see how beautiful it is and all this other stuff. I was like, dude, give it a rest. Please let it go. I knew he said, remember the other day when it wasn't the other day, but y'all know what I'm saying. Last week or the week before last, when they told him about the engagement, he was like, what? I told y'all he was upset. He said, what? But let's see, what else did they start talking about it, and he just kept on talking about some yeah, we supposed to be there for business, but Italy is basically it's beautiful, and you and Brooke need to go see and or whatever. And that's when Ridge was like, this is a business trip. It's not about that. And then he did say it's good for Brooke to get out or get away because because of Nick or whatever. Tell my son, he trying to get her away from Nick. Little did he know this man done invited her to Italy. Talking about he got business there anyways. And I said, that's what we seen. Well, if y'all didn't see it, it's been all over social media where I want to say she had on a white and blue dress. Something in blue dress, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or whatever. And Ridge tried to come up and talk to her, but Jack, why I keep calling this man Jack? What's his name? Nick. I keep calling him Jack. Is that his real name? But, Nick came up to her and she left with him, and Ridge was just standing up there looking crazy. I said, about doggone time, that's what you get, because you can't have it both ways, sir. And we finna talk about him in a minute. Him and Taylor. But yeah, he was like, he want to get her away from Nick. That's what he want to do or whatever. So they started talking about that, and that's when Taylor showed up. But before we talk about that part, we got to talk about Donna and Taylor. So they would just talk about everything that happened with Luna. Then they started talking about the trip to Italy. She was like, she can't go because she got to stay there and hold down the fort. I said, what you got to do? They be bringing these folks back for the simple parts. They could bring them back for something interesting. Hold up. But yeah, she was like, she got to hold down the fort. So that's when they started talking about Ridge and Brooke going, and she wanted to ask her, what did she ask this lady? What did she ask her? How she feel about everything? Let me see if I wrote it down. I don't even think I wrote it down. Donna asked her something crazy. She wanted to get down to the bottom of how she feeling about if Brooke goes, and talking about she's largely responsible for, the fashion show and all this other stuff. What did she ask this lady? I don't know, but whatever she said, she convinced this girl. I ain't gonna say convinced. But after her conversation with Donna, she ends up going to Ridge and saying that she got a request before he leave town. She want to set a date. This man talking about a date for what? She was like, a wedding date. Then she asked him, have you thought about it? He's like, I think about you all the time. I said, how many times he don't sit up here and avoided her question. I said first, she was like, she wanna set a date. He talking about some date for what? Then she asked him if he thought about it, and he told me, I think about you all the time. You supposed to say, yeah, I want to get married right away or something at least. I said, Taylor. I said, Taylor, just cause you rushing to get married to this man, that don't stop nothing. A ring is not gonna stop Ridge and Brooke from doing what they do. That's not gonna stop nothing. How many affairs these folks don't had? How many times they don't even cheating with each other and cheating on each other and still got back together? How many times? Like, that don't matter. That does not matter. Hold on. I mean, it's supposed to matter, but nowadays it really don't. Let's see. Yeah, she was telling him that, you know, she want to set a day before he leave, and she asked him if he thought about it. He was like, he think about her all the time. I think he ended up kissing her, but I don't think they continued the conversation after that. Let's see. Brooke and Nick, I think they're the last people. I think Brooke and Nick the last two. So he came there, he was like, he heard about the shooting or whatever, and asked her how everything going on. They was talking about Leon recovering and everything. So that's when she was like, she gotta leave, her and Ridge leaving and all this other stuff. He was like, you going to Italy with Ridge or whatever? She was like, it's a business trip. They're going for business. So he was like, I'm not gonna let you go down this path again with Ridge or whatever. So he invites her to go to Italy with him. And she just smiled. I said, Brooke said she still got it. She said, lose the same one, get 3 more. Get 3 more, for real. Hold on. But yeah, we already, once again, if you seen the behind the scenes, she's gonna go with him. Even if she don't go with him, she gonna link up with him at least. But yeah, I think that's it, y'all. Let me make sure. Yeah, I think that's it. We already talked about Ridge wanting to keep Brooke away from Nick. Nick said he's not gonna let Brooke go down that road again. Wants Brooke to come with him to Italy because he got some work to handle anyways. They said allegedly. I'm gonna say allegedly because we don't know. She's supposed to fall in the water. Now, y'all know sometimes fans be just assuming stuff, but they say allegedly she falls into the water. Ridge gets in to save her, and that's how they gonna reconnect. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what they saying thus far. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Let me know your thoughts on this episode down below. Stay tuned for the next review.